Hi, it's Scott. ROCKFILE back with another podcast review. Let's talk about 1992's Patriot games in 4K. So I said in the Hunt for Red October podcast, I'm going to go through all of these because I got a set really cheap at Walmart. They're all in 4K, and this is another good 4K transfer. I would say not as good as Hunt for Red October, but it's still native 4K. Dolby Vision looked really good. Soundtrack wasn't as dated sounding as you think. Wasn't as grainy as I expected. Tight film structure, that kind of stuff. What you expect out of a 4K. It didn't blow the Blu-ray out of the market, but it was... I'm happy to have this movie. This is the most personal of the Jack Ryan movies, of the Jack Ryan books. This really takes a step back from all the espionage of some of the other books. I said in the last podcast, my mom got into the movie. She got into Tom Clancy books long before they made them into movies. Wanted to clarify that. She was an avid book reader who got me into reading. I would read a book a day as a kid. Anyway, when this movie was coming out, there was a whole lot of talk because new director Philip Noyce, he went on to direct Clear and Present Danger and a whole bunch of movies you've seen, some good, some mediocre. He's an Australian director who's actually, I think he does a pretty good job on most of the things he works on. They replaced Alec Baldwin with Harrison Ford. They replaced Gates McFadden with Ann Archer. Well, because Jack Ryan's wife has a bigger role in this film. James Earl Jones comes back. You got Sean Bean in this one, Patrick Bergen, young Thora Birch. This was like her third movie. Samuel Jackson, also very young. James Fox, Richard Harris. It's a stacked cast and does have some, I don't want to say it's not a spy movie or not an espionage movie. There is a little bit of what's going on with Ireland, the IRA, a faction within the IRA is doing some things that the IRA wouldn't do. The more you know a little bit about world history, because they don't go into a whole lot of it, that you would probably understand a little bit about that comment, but that's not what's really important. It could be really any faction that has a faction within that's fighting for whatever, and then within that organization there is a smaller group of people who take, whatever into their own hands. That's kind of what this movie's about. If you don't know, I won't do major spoilers, but you should. Jack Ryan, our character from the first movie, a information analyst who was thrown into a situation he should have never been thrown into. That's kind of how the rest of his career goes. In this particular case, he was overseas to visit the royals and such, and he just happened to be giving a speech or something. He brought this whole family over, and he was there when someone attacks part of the royal family in the street. He jumps into action. He's a former Marine. He grabs a gun. He shoots a guy, knocks a guy down. It turns out he kills Sean Bean's little brother, and the rest is how the movie plays out. Sean Bean, of course, is picked up for being a terrorist, but he's broken out, and the rest of the movie is he's going to come for Jack Ryan and his family. Like I said, the most personal of these movies, because all that espionage is going on in the background, but every step that Jack takes into not wanting to get involved gets him more involved until eventually they make an attempt on his wife and daughter's life, and then he gets fully involved. Way more involved than the CIA wants him involved, but his buddy and his boss, Admiral Greer, kind of greases the wheels for him and lets him do his job. I think this is a fine action movie. A big blockbuster is what the series needed going forward. Because as I said in this way post popularity review of Hunt for Red October, Alec Baldwin just wasn't really the right fit. I think he did a good job in the film, but he wasn't really Jack Ryan. Tom Clancy always felt that Harrison Ford was too old to play Jack Ryan in this. He also wasn't a big fan of some of the things they were going to do with the movie until he actually saw the movie. And then he was actually quite pleased with it. I saw that, I've watched ahead of what I'm recording here. He did a commentary on The Sum of All Fears. He was a big producer on that. He was not a major producer on the first trilogy. Mace Newfield and a few other people, they kind of guided the ship, kind of like the Broccoli family did for the 007 movies. This is why Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, and Clear and Present Danger all kind of feel the same, because the same producers made those movies. They skipped a lot of years to make The Sum of All Fears and eventually the Jack Ryan film. Those had different producers involved, and still some of the original ones because they still own the rights, but those movies feel different, and for good reason. They're more modern films, different characters, all that. But to go back to Patriot Games, this has always been one of my favorites because it is personal, and Jack Ryan's got to defend his family. reading the book and watching the movie, I wish he had gotten involved a little quicker. He should have known that these guys would have come after his family. But I think Harrison Ford inhabits the role, even though, like I said, he's a little old for someone who read the book. This is, a 49, 50-year-old. Harrison Ford was just much older than you pictured. But they do well with it. Ann Archer, I think, is great as his wife, and everybody else in the movie knocks it out of the park. It moves at a quick pace. The effects are good because, again, there's still a lot of practical stuff in these movies. They might have added some rain in the final, boat fight and whatever. But other than that, I mean, the movie looks really practical and really well. I really enjoyed it. And in 4K, it was fine. Again, I probably wouldn't have bought this whole set, but for the cost of all 5 of them, why not? Instead of buying just one. I do like Patriot games, and when it was over, I remembered why. I think Thora Birch is great as the child actress. She was only made 2 or 3 movies before this. She goes on into the next movie as well, and most of the actors, they carry on. We'll get into Clear and Present Danger next, and I'll talk about, my likes and dislikes for John Clark, which is a major character in the Jack Ryan books. If you've read the books, you probably like the first trilogy. I think they come close to adapting them, not perfectly. As someone who basically grew up, I started reading Hunt for Red October in college and just followed the books up until he passed away. Haven't read much of the stuff that was written in the Tom Clancy vein after. I don't know why they do that. They did the same thing with Michael Crichton. We got a whole bunch of books that were sequels to Michael Crichton books written in the style of Michael Crichton, but I just don't it's like a cover band. It's fine for the bar on a Friday night, but I don't want an album of cover bands. Anyway, Patriot Games is a really good flick. Still holds up as an action thriller as far as I'm concerned. It does slow down more than the last one. There isn't a whole lot of action. There is, but some of it's off camera, but that's kind of the point. I always liked how grounded the first 3 movies were. It had like a $40 million budget, went on to make $178 million, so pretty much a hit. Did quite well and greenlit Clear and Present Danger, which is probably the most Clancy-esque of all of the adaptations. Wow. We'll get to that one next. All in all, though, I would pick up the set if you can find it cheap, and if you can't, and this is one of your favorite movies, the 4K was worth picking up. Not a whole lot of extras. With the first 2 movies in this trilogy, or in this set of 5, one like 20-minute documentary behind-the-scenes fluffy thing on each. It's on the Blu-ray. There's no extras on the 4Ks except for commentaries. So I think they could have done better with extras. Maybe Paramount will do something different down the road. More podcasts on the way, more drone videos too. Have a spectacular day. Thanks for liking, sharing, and subscribing.